Hello and welcome to Upload,
A podcast by those who upload, for those who want to.
or who already do.
And anyone else for that matter.
My name is Lionheart and I've been creating content for over a decade.
And my name's Midgeman, and I've been trying to create content for almost a decade.
Together with some of our friends and fellow content creators, we're going to be exploring the great big world of content creation.
We'll be looking into the serious topics that face content creators today.
Because if someone said that to me, like, in person, or said that kind of stuff to me, you know, IRL, I wouldn't take it. So why would I take it, like, online? Why would I hide aspects of sort of my identity?
As well as some less serious topics.
I've been blindsided by the fact that one of your old live streams is called Suck My Missile for like the last
Sorry,
10
what?
minutes.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Upload.
Hello and welcome to Upload Podcast, the content creation podcast for those who upload, those who want to, and everyone else for that matter. My name is Midgeman.
And I'm Lionheart.
And before we get on with today's episode, remember to like, rate, subscribe, turn on any auto downloaders, favorite the podcast, share it, do whatever you want to do. And if you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can do so via our YouTube comment section, our Spotify comment section, our Discord, or more importantly, our email, hello@uploadpodcast.co.uk.
And if you weren't watching the video version of that, you need to, because that intro was spectacular.
It was, we just had about 5 car crash intros, and I just full reset mentally and physically.
There was like a full mid reset. Like, it was like, have we tried turning him on off again?
Yes.
We did that. Turns out it works.
Yep, apparently. Sometimes you just need a little bit of comic timing to help you get through, and that's what I went into there. And I think that was one of my most flawed. I've undone it. I've undone
Yeah,
it.
you said it too many times.
I was about to say that was one of my most flawless intros, and my brain decided you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that. I'm going to make you fluff right now. Anyway. In the last episode, if it's gone out in order, we were talking about our thumbnails and how we set up for videos, and how I've been changed the mentality on setting up my videos for hopefully YouTube success. But we also within that mentioned various tools we use to help put our videos together, such as I mentioned vidIQ. But we're going to just go into some of the tools we use, what's in our toolkit, essentially, when creating a video and getting stats and stuff. There's one that I'm going to start off with, that I always dunk on, but still...
I know the one you're going to mention as well. Still use, yeah.
Yeah, Socialblade. Socialblade is a site where you can essentially look up YouTube analytics of various people, or Twitch. I think it does... Apparently, it does YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Dailymotion, Odyssey, Trovo, Mixer, DLive, and Storyfire. Now, I will say half of those they probably can't pull the data from anymore, because Meta's changed how it reads data.
I mean, they can barely pull from YouTube anymore, but...
Yeah, so that's interesting. But the thing I really like to use Socialblade for more than anything is the future projections model that they have, because they tell you, it gives you a rough estimation of where it thinks you're going to be at a certain period of time. And I use that to set goals. Like right now, it says that I will be at 100k subscribers in 820 days, which is good because it was like 1,000 and something before, and we're slowly getting that down. And I'm basically using that to track my success by going, has it changed from being 2 years and 4 months away? Is it now saying that it's within a year? Like, it's very good for tracking that kind of thing.
Oh, I've just actually kind of looked at my sub prediction to see how long what it's got in there.
Oh, when's the milli for you? Is it on there?
The milli for me, well, it doesn't actually go up to the milli, but the furthest it goes is in 5 years' time, in 2029, which actually, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm getting older. Like, to me, that doesn't feel like that far away. That's when I'll be at 900k.
Ooh, I will apparently be at 375k at that point. So in 5 years' time, according to current projections, I will be your size, roughly. So 5 years for the mill? I think you can do it sooner than that if you get some...
It all honestly depends on how well the games do that come out that I cover. Like, if they're all bombs and it's gonna, like, I'm gonna be 5 years' time and I'll be at like maybe 600k, which I'd be very happy with. That's totally fine. But like, because the especially on the sub prediction, it works on a compounding chart so that it assumes that you're going to have these compounding events every so often. It's not going to tell you how or what, because it can't possibly tell you that. And if it could, I'd like to know the lottery numbers that night as well, please. I won £5 on a scratch card actually the other day.
Did you?
Randomly.
Let's go.
Old man in the co-op went, I'll have a 17 please. And I thought, I'm feeling lucky. I'll have a 17 as well, please. Got home and I was like, I got the special one. I got the fingers crossed logo, and I was like, I got myself a meal deal.
Oh, you got a meal deal.
Yeah.
Basically, you got your scratch card back.
It's only a quid.
No, it's
I'm £4 up.
You're £4
Invest that
up.
in 4 more. There we go. No, that's how it starts. But actually, I was going to say, I still have a Socialblade bookmark in my browser for Socialblade for my YouTube and my Twitch, just because it is good for a quick glance, quick snapshot, just seeing how things are ticking over. Because I think I don't know why, like, I've got that bookmark where I could probably just bookmark the sub feed on my YouTube analytics, but I don't know. It's just Socialblade used to be way better when it could get the live data before YouTube changed its API. I think it was in like 2019-ish. It closed off a lot of that, so it's basically far less reliable It's not even as far as reliable. It just doesn't show those stats that it can't pull the API from, which is probably the right way to do it. But I don't know. It's always, I think also when, I don't know about you, if you're ever like meeting up with other creators or you go to I'm always like, see, what's their Socialblade looking like? Just to gain a rough like stat. And I'm always also very intrigued when I meet up with creators that do very different content formats, when I know I'm going to meet people that's like, he just uploads 2 videos a month. Like, because I'm always in my mind sometimes, especially like doing it full time now for so long, I'm always like, I wonder if they're doing it full time. And I feel like it's kind of sometimes a bit of a personal, maybe some people might find it like a rude question to ask, to be like, do you live off your content that you do? And especially when I look at very different content formats, I'm like, I know roughly what to expect from like a 40-minute video and, all those uploads that I do daily, month in, month out, and what that generates roughly for me. And so I'm like, if I use that as a ballpark, but then that changes dramatically. Okay, this guy's got, say, 300k views on each of his 2 videos, which actually means, he's generating 1.2 million views. Okay, I'm getting more views than that. I would also assume I'm probably getting more revenue because I've got more ads placed across all my bits. Whereas those are going to be, especially when I see like videos that are like under 10 minutes. So I know that the ad power that you're putting into that is going to be so much more diminished than something long format. But then, as we said last pod, that's what you're doing now, is finding ways to interseed in between those big high impact pieces, because those potentially, the high impact pieces will look really good in terms of stats. They'll gain loads of new subscribers, but the things that are potentially probably going to make the money that's going to tick away nicely in the background are going to be the longer format stuff in between. Potentially they have higher earning potential, even if the views are way lower on them, just because of how many more, as you can funnel into them, but just better placement, better reception to it, and just how that all works within that ecosystem.
Actually, I just want to quickly ask you on that, just this little slide tangent from the main topic. What's your RPM at right now?
Oh, let's have a little lucky.
So for those who are listening...
Last 28?
Last 28. We'll go last 28. But if you want to find out what your RPM is, which is essentially your cost per 1,000 subs, 1,000 impressions you get in terms of ad revenue. That's a really bad way of explaining it, but I believe they've changed the category that this is under now. But to find it, you go into your channel analytics, advanced analytics, and then it is ad type, I think is the category it's called now. Yes, ad type. So it's under more ad type.
Oh, the CPM on that. Okay, because I was going to say, actually, wouldn't it be better looking at RPM?
True. Where do you find RPM now, though?
RPM would be, if you go revenue and then select watch paid ads, and then when it says how much advertisers pay, hit the see more. And then on that one, you still have to put it drop down. It'd be clicking on the little drop down top left and going more metrics. And then it should, RPM's on that. It used to have them both on the same page. It used to say, what advertisers pay? Here's your CPM, here's your RPM. And then they went, no.
There's an add metrics to table button. Yeah, so if you hit that plus, but quickly before you do anything, hit that plus button. You can just add whatever metric source to the table in front of you.
If I cancel that out and just go overall and then advanced mode, CPM. Although actually, even like CPMs, like actually, what's the playback based CPM? What's the difference there? So many different. Okay, right. So yeah, playback based CPM is what advertisers are paying every 1,000 times. Yeah, because your breakdown is your share. You're getting a 55% share of all your. So some people may not know this actually. As far as I'm aware, this is like non-negotiable. It doesn't change. Every single YouTube creator on the whole platform only ever gets 55% of the total revenue your channel generates, or at least ad revenue. Might be different. I think there's different bits, different splits. 55% of all ad revenue that your channel generates. The other 45% goes to Google. And that has been the same forever. Typically, though, what you see in your analytics, again, I think this changed 2017. I think it's changed a little bit earlier, or potentially even 2019. You actually used to see the full amount.
And then you have to calculate it.
Like the full 100%. And then you have to be like, oh, what's 55% of that? For a good 4 or 5 plus years, you now only see your 55% because that's the only relevant, because it's not like you can claim any more back or anything like that. So you're always going to get 55%. Now, to go back to a much earlier pod when we talked about MCMs, the thing they did on top of that was that when they offered you a deal that was like, 70-30, they were taking 30% of your 55% and you would get 70% of that 55% that remained. So that diluted you down even further. So that's why overall MCMs, apart from the top few that ever got a load of benefits from it or just got promotion and stuff like that, or ever managed to, like myself, get a really tasty side exit deal with a load of extra preferred ad payment, they were never really good for you at all. Like, unless they were actively had someone on you that probably weekly call-ins with you about how to drive your content, which is only going to work for certain types of creators anyway. Because I remember having chats with one saying like, oh, so you're still doing Let's Plays? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I don't really have anything more to add to that other than, keep playing the games that you enjoy. And because there's not a lot to tweak with that specific format, realistically, if you've got the basics down. But yeah, RPM, my total for the last 28 days is £4.84.
My RPM is £2.59.
What's your playback based CPM? How much advertisers are paying?
£6.86. So yours is a whole £4 more across the board, essentially.
The other interesting metric to add would be, where is it from? You can see the geography of CPM, because you can work out if I've got a much higher one because my content is being watched by people in countries with much higher CPMs. I'm pretty sure. See, again, they used to have a tab where it was geography. Maybe it's literally in the geography tab. Can I go geography CPM? Yes. Northern Mariana Islands are paying £15 CPM. So if you select geography and then add in CPM, although actually it'd be much better to put in playback based CPM.
Guernsey is a cash cow for me. Guernsey are paying £28.
Yeah, they pay $31.96 in the Northern Mariana Islands, but I had no views from there. So, but that is the top paying one. Then Norway.
Yeah, for me, I have no CPM based views for Guernsey, but it would be 28. Then it's Uganda at 12.50. Then Norway's 1% and they're paying 11.35.
If you filter by views, then you'll see where most of your views are, your highest number of views coming from. So then you can kind of line it up that way.
USA with £6. UK is actually a playback based CPM for the UK for me is £9.44.
So I've got 1062 and I get 16.6% of my views from the UK. 31% for me comes from the US at £13.29. That's the play. Again, this is what advertisers pay. So of that, I get £6.44. Well, that's my CPM. RPM is then actually how many of those were monetized views. Like CPM is essentially what it would be if every 1,000 was monetized. Then your RPM beyond that is actually how many of those you then got, which I've seen is like, 480 averages £5.12 CPM for me. So then the average RPM was 484. So it's a, probably a variance of up to £1 difference or $1.50. But yeah, so that's a useful one to see if you're something like, why is my earnings much higher one month, but perhaps my average CPM is the same. Have a look at the geography of who's tuning in, because maybe you've had a video suddenly appeal in a different geographical location that has a much higher.
So what I'm seeing is I need to do a Guernsey-based world conquest in a game because they're paying so much for my channel if I get them. Yeah, for me, USA are my biggest watch time.
You could use this though to target certain geographical relevant stuff, which for me would be Norway, Australia, Switzerland, and then we got the UK. Oh no, sorry, then we've got the United States. Oh, actually, interesting thing, you can click on them if they're in blue, and well, you should do if YouTube worked. It will give you a breakdown of further counties.
Oh my gosh, they just hit USA. So it's California, Texas, New York, Florida, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Ohio.
For me, I've just got the broken dog symbol. It doesn't want to work.
I just said
YouTube's
Ohio,
like, no.
I said Ohio, you said dog, and my brain went, they're eating the dogs!
Wow.
Oh, dear. Not to date the episode, but that was this week.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's I don't know of anyone that does directly have a lot of success like targeting those specific CPM locations. But if you were ever wondering why, perhaps if you compared CPMs with other creators, and actually this is something I remember someone, a Total War creator, that sort of said, they were like, how are you guys making revenue? My CPM's so much lower than yours. And I was like, well, take a look at the geographical playback, and most of their views were coming from, I think they said it was India. So they had, even though they weren't speaking Indian, just for whatever reason, their videos are resonating or getting pushed and delivered to a lot of Indian viewers. So I mean, if we look at, like, I'm looking at mine now, my Indian playback base CPM is £1.39, which means the CPM is 97p, which means my RPM would probably be like high 80p's. And okay, that thankfully that's only, in this case for revenue, that's only accounting to 1% of my total views. But if they say that was placing a lot higher and more of those views were coming from India, say they was swapping out with my UK metric of 16.6% of views from the UK. The UK pays £5.11 CPM from a £10.62 playback based CPM. People say like, oh, if you get a certain number of views, I mean, yes, we can give rough estimates of roughly how much we reckon you should be earning around that, but that's largely based on our own CPMs or what we perceive to be the average. You could have an outlier of very low CPMs because your content is being delivered to countries that have much lower paying ads, in which case means you would probably have to get 3 or 4 times the number of views to match a creator with much smaller views, but are primarily being viewed by USA, UK. Yeah, what were those top generated? Norway, Australia, Switzerland, Denmark. If you, instead of having Norway, Australia, Switzerland, United States, UK as your top ones, where most of your views are coming from, if instead you had it coming from Croatia, Luxembourg, Slovenia, Taiwan, Nepal, you would have much lower like ad placement. And again, though, kind of a caveat, those are just how my content is being impacted. That's not to say you can't have higher paying ads in those countries, but it's far less likely. If your content is being delivered, and I would assume if you're probably a native speaker of those countries, you probably would get boosted, and you would get because you would have local advertising. For me, a Taiwanese advertiser is going to look at my channel and go, like, he's not hitting the boxes for us. We're not going to invest any serious money here. Whereas if you're a native Taiwanese speaker, then that's gonna appeal to them and be like, right, we'll get straight in there, and that's where we want our ad placement to go, because depends, depending on local, regional, or global, ad campaigns, certain things are going to resonate differently. But that is a place to look if you ever feel like you're getting very odd CPM through. Look at the geography of where those ads are being like served to and coming, where the ad spend's coming through. That's quite a fun little analytical metric to go through, actually.
And if you're in Guernsey right now, please go and watch my YouTube videos.
Yes, please. All of Guernsey, on repeat. Like, let's generate at least 2,000 views a day.
Set up a server farm in Guernsey. No, that's illegal. That will get me removed from YouTube. Please don't do this.
Yeah, we're not actually encouraging you to. We could, but we're not actually, because terms of service. But if you were, Guernsey would be the place to do it.
Do you know what this has highlighted for me? I think would be really useful if we can find someone to come on the podcast who
lives in Guernsey.
Professionally reads analytics and just explain what every single metric means. Because I know what some of the YouTube metrics are and should be looking for, but just an exact breakdown of like everything the YouTube Analytics suite does would be so useful and so interesting, because I bet we could learn stuff from that. But yeah, keeping an eye on your CPM and RPM is a good tell as to, you know, what you're doing essentially, and how you can adapt certain things and where your audience is. The other thing that I will also say, this is a good marker for, if you notice that you have a particularly high viewer base, say in Norway, because Norway has come up quite a bit. Yes, their grasp of the English language in Norway is very good, but one of the things it might be worth you doing is having, if you subtitles translated to that language, for example, to really scrape more viewership out of that and cater to that audience that is dedicated and giving you cash, like at the end of the day. Yeah, so we've spoken about Socialblade as a really nice little tool. What other tools do you have in your tool belt, Lionheart, after that small RPM interlude?
I use something called RapidTags every so often, which you can put your YouTube title into, and it will generate relevant tags based on kind of search terms, SEO. So it's quite, for me, again, long format stuff, it's kind of like, but, well, the main thing with long format is that your first episode has got the right tags, because if the first episode isn't going to do well, the rest of the series is going to really struggle. Like, yes, you can recover it, but it's going to be a lot of hard work to recover after a bad first episode. So that one's quite useful. It also has a TikTok tag generator, which I didn't realize it had, but they've got that in there. But yeah, I found this one to be quite good. I mean, tags aren't as important these days as they used to be, but it's still worth, at minimum, doing something like this, of popping your title into something like RapidTags, which will then spit out relevant or key search terms relating to that title, because it's how YouTube, well, quite literally tags a video in terms of categories of where it goes out and how it gets pushed and things like that. Most heavily weighted thing now supposedly is titles. So that's key to get your keywords in there. And obviously, as we spoke about in a previous podcast, potentially, if it's gone out before this one, it's about using grammatically correct language in your title that's fairly succinct. Potentially it poses a question or an easily searchable term that is going to help boost you in any search results and algorithmic pushes, but also reflects, again, what we were saying last time, of having those key questions and descriptors in that top chunk of your description as well. And actually, something I didn't mention last time we were talking about that, I've started doing that in Let's Plays now for like the last 6 to 8 months. I write a little synopsis of what the goal of the Let's Play is, focusing on using the keywords like the Crusader Kings, Lord of the Rings. It's mentioning Lord of the Rings. Also, I find as well, having the word gameplay in there is quite useful as well, because often when people are searching for a game, the auto generator of the topmost fed auto prompt is gameplay. So if you're typing in, say, Space Marine 2, gameplay is typically the one that comes at the top. So you want to have some references to gameplay in your descriptor, in your tags.
Or if it's a guide tutorial.
So include that, like repeat that word as well. Like often I'll say like, this is my gameplay of, this game. Enjoy the gameplay of this, because it just helps you rank slightly higher and searchable.
Yeah, the thing to do is, it's going to sound, because the thing is, your average Joe doesn't actually read your description. You've got to structure it like it's ChatGPT. Even if you don't like AI and you don't really necessarily interact with it yourself, look at how people structure prompts, because essentially that's what you're doing with your video. You're setting it up as the answer to people's prompts, kind of thing. It doesn't have to be completely disjointed, but just have those sentences that an AI will go, yes, I found you. Hello. You don't have to use AI, but you have to kind of think like AI almost, to be like, how is this going to look if AI is searching for it? I don't necessarily want to use it myself, but other people, and also because a lot of AI is built into these algorithmic systems anyway. These algorithms are essentially kind of scripted AI prompts doing their own thing anyway to run away with. So if you have their language already in there, that's going to help you massively. Sorry, I've just gone back into my geography by CPM of the last 28 days. Yeah. Oh, have you found a whale? Apparently on the 20th of August of 2024, I had... Oh, have you got like a really high spike? Yeah. I do. And I have 32 views from North Macedonia, which have all earned me £44.
So those are really fun ones to look at. Actually, it'd be like, what was this man's bike? But obviously, like I've seen one where it's like the CPM was something like £100, and I got like a solid chunk of that, even with like very few views, just because for whatever reason the ad campaign, like it's basically when you get a company that goes, right, our ad campaign is 100 million, dump it in, and it just picks up and gets assigned to it, and you're sitting there going, ka-ching. In fact, my Lionheart Adventures channel, which I have not uploaded to for ages, but that I think on the first episode of my Baldur's Gate playthrough, it suddenly got £25 a few days later when it was generating maybe £2 total. It got £25 because of a singular ad that was worth like £40 CPM.
Yeah, like apparently, so 20th of August will be my Dragon Guide, most likely that came from. But my brain is now going, is there a Hellenic CK3 run that I can do as Alexander the Great and cater to a Macedonian audience?
There is once the Rose to Power DLC comes out.
Probably, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, even if there isn't, restoring Alexander's empire, there you go.
Yeah, okay, right.
There you go. Done.
If you see that appear on my channel anytime soon, there you go. Thanks, North Macedonia.
Yeah, there we go. But also, you know what? Totally random thing. Love how, looking at the data, you've now just come up with a content idea.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How fun is that, though? That like, because people will be like, what's your process? You're probably in the game looking at interesting characters. No, we're looking at data from our channels and our revenue that has now given us a... Like, I mean, there's a very specific reason why I did so many Realm of Thrones playthroughs around the launch of House of the Dragon Season 2 this year. Because that was, easy accessible mod. I could play as a literal dragon. And there's a reason why, if I compare that to the Realm of Thrones series I did previous to it, which was like a northern survival run, and I did after I've done an Ironborn adventure, which neither of them did particularly well. But that dragon one did really well because it was a hot topic being searched, and obviously great thing about that is you can feed off what the show's doing and use that for titles and things like that. So, obviously I wasn't even playing a House of the Dragon specific scenario. I was playing, 200 years in the future.
War of the Five Kings, yeah.
But I darn well called that first episode Rise of the House of the Dragon, because...
Trends, yeah.
Trends, friends. Get on them.
There's a reason that some of the tags on my Dragon Guide is House of Dragon. It'd be silly not to.
Yeah, you want it hooking into all those relevant bits. Even if you look at that and go, I mean, okay, yeah, it makes sense that you'd have that show, but is that really relevant to what you're doing because you're not doing a specific scenario? No, doesn't matter. And I think as well, I mean, I don't have any hard data for this, but I feel like someone that is prepared to go down a rabbit hole is someone that if they find content they like, that's probably a higher chance of converting them into a sub and a regular viewer than somebody that just happens across it within like 1 or 2 clicks. Just
to go back, like I think I've mentioned it already on the podcast, but right now an old video of mine is absolutely popping off as well because it's the Return to Moria video.
Yeah. And very, very topical right now with the Rings of Power.
Rings of Power is out. Also, Return to Moria, the game, is now out on Steam. It was an Epic exclusive. And that's why I just said to Lion, I think it was in the previous episode, but I don't know if that's going to come out in order. You know how this works. I'm going to caveat it every time. I went, well, you just Return to Moria. You put that in the title. That's a co-opting search term. You might get crossover. Like, that's a thing to look at. Right. Let's continue down the rabbit hole of tools. We've spoken about vidIQ, and I will actually go one step further with vidIQ if you have a subscription. They now have, if you're new to content creation, 1, hello, I hope this podcast has been useful, but 2, they now have a boot camp where it's like their own video platform called Creator Now, where it has like lessons and learn videos where people have been adding podcasts, etc. Like, I don't think many people have used it yet because it has just launched. So there's like some of these videos have like 46 views. There's like an hour of 35 documentary here of an editing breakdown, or they have a mini show called Channel Audit here, which is just like going over certain topics, etc. Yes, it's a paid service. Yes, vidIQ is, a paid plan. It has so many other things, like there's keyword generators, video optimization stuff. You can also use it to AI gen stuff. I would actually avoid that. There's an ideas thing where it just goes, it reads your channel's history. It reads what's trending on your channel and uses trending information to give you just inspiration YouTube titles to maybe go make a video from. Like, there's a lot of little things. The thing that I also like to do is I have that when you look at your analytics on here, you can set up in air quotes competitors, and you can track your stats next to I have a number of friends on here. So on my list, I have me. I have friend of the podcast, Lath. I have Snap Strategy because he makes CK content. Also, go check him out. He's a good guy. I've got Alex the Rambler, and I have yourself, Lionheart. So I see our like view growth, our content, etc., like next to each other with a comparative of who's up, who's down. Luckily we're all up right now, which is quite cool on this list of people. But yeah, like for example, I'm gonna quickly share my entire screen. So like I've got the compare performance here. So this is the last 30 days, and you can see Lionheart, you're pink, Lath is green, Snap's purple, I'm orange, and Rambler is blue. Like you can kind of just track how everyone's like doing in terms of views and subscribers and such. Yeah, and it's just, you can use this info relatively good. Oh, look at that nice Space Marine you've got going on there.
Again, that was, I had to do that before going off to my brother's stag do last weekend. I was like, oh crap, I've got to throw together a thumbnail. I don't have time to think about it properly. Kind of, yeah, to come back to like thumbnail stuff, I guess if you're in a bind, you want something kind of, I was about to say cheap and dirty, but if you want something that's like quick and easy, and also if you want something fairly straightforward, often what is a very good tool for being eye-catching is to have like a prominent character front and center, or in this case, I put him off to the side. Talking about the color theory stuff that we did last time, you know, he's big, bold, and blue, but he's also got that gold. I mean, Ultramarines helps with the gold accents on it. It looks quite good. The rest of the background is quite blurred. I've slapped on the title because that's typically what I do with the Let's Play anyway, and I've just got the number. And actually, that's very reminiscent to what I did with Bannerlord for a very, very long time, was just character, logo, part number, and that's it, because that's, for me at least, that's all I need the thumbnail to tell someone. What is it? It's Space Marine, and what part is it? Like, because that's also, because I know it's not going to do crazy well for me, but I just wanted to, you know, get that content out there.
To also double back on previous content and topics, and I'm going to just quickly go to, again, my videos. One of the things I'm thinking of doing on that same vein is, for example, I have this every special building complete guide video. It's got 30k views. It had a spike recently, again, because of the goat content. Following the current theory of my channel, this thumbnail is a massive outlier, and also the title is a bit of an outlier. There is nothing to stop you in going back and changing it after a while. You might actually, especially if it's been 3 months, go change the thumbnail, because someone who might have been delivered this video before, who didn't click on it, might get it served again, and they might enjoy it, because again, it might have been the gateway to that content that held it back slightly.
Quite like that thumbnail though. I quite like what you did with the text. The thing that's good with that as well is that you've done, I think I would say, is all the bits that the bits of advice we give it about thumbnails, about, you know, color and placement, and whether you're using words or not, and if you are, make sure they're big and bold and relevant. I think you've unlocked the top tip, actually, which is well, not necessarily the top tip, but the bonus thing to do, which I think only very few creators do. But you've done something very clever here. You've created a sense of movement, which is that you've got the words going back, which further emphasizes two. So you're instantly like, well, what's two all about? The logo actually nicely underneath it. Yeah, like with this, with having those multiple arrows going in, does a similar sort of thing. But with this, it's subtle because there's no arrows guiding the building, but you're naturally drawn into that two. And then what you read with this first is two, and then you go, what's two about? Every building two, Game of Thrones. Wow, okay. I would say, actually, I think it's a really top level thing to do of transforming a 2D image into moving aspect that your brain turns into it for you.
It is layers, essentially. It is the image that I grabbed as a screenshot in the game over twice, one of which has the city cut out in its normal color, the other one has been blurred and color changed, and then the text is using essentially the text warping to match. What I wanted to do is have it follow the curvature of the wall properly, but it didn't quite work with the 2 being really so far back. So I took the 2 out and put it just as a layer on top.
And I think that works, because if you had that small and at the back or smaller, I think it would be lost. And actually, I think you need actually something fairly central in this image. The masterclass here is that you've got that funneling experience.
The main change I will probably do if I do change this up.
That's kind of nice.
Exactly, is I might just put a block color instead of the blurred background.
And actually, because you've switched now the logo color to white as well, what that actually does is that makes the 2 sit on something. Whereas before it was all one color. Now you've got it sat on something as well.
I'm tempted to just it doesn't have to be much to this thumbnail, but I'm thinking just
no, but that is quite a drastically different eye-catching color profile.
The other thing I was thinking is essentially just going maybe not that color, but
just something big bold color. Yeah.
Instead of using the city, just legitimately just a solid color, because if the details are too small, they're not going to be picked out.
With the kind of the reds explosion-y. Because I think why that works is that it's got a similar color mixed in from the rooftops of the city in the reds and the oranges. So it's utilizing the existing, because sometimes you do want to have some big colors in there popping, but I think that just further ties into what you've already got there and pulls out from it. And the blacks coming in there when you've got that stark contrast quite literally between black and white, which you've now got a bit more of, especially in the corners.
But vidIQ, I really like one of the things as well, it has an outliers tab, which is just a general search. If I put in Crusader Kings to the outliers tab, I put in Crusader Kings 3. I know we're talking about that a lot right now because it's a current game for us, but it will show me videos from people who have put up a video that is outlying, that's doing particularly well for some reason. So, for example, Realm Builder Guy, this video here is doing 26 times better than his normal content. And this is from 3 years ago. It's not current. It just shows you key topics that have really stood out to that search term or audience. Like Koi-fish here. I revived this. This is 2 times better. Not necessarily standout for him, but it's still better as a topic. And then you can look at these.
I like that thumbnail from Koi-fish.
That's a good thumbnail. Or Hey Kara's thumbnail here. This stands out CK3 versus CK2.
Yeah, the meme one.
With the meme format. That's
amazing. Because
everyone understands what that is.
Yeah.
But the things that you're noticing, even as I scroll, for me, in terms of the thumbnails here, my eyes go top right, and then it's Koi-fish that grabs me, then it's Kara that grabs me. Because those thumbnails are brighter, they're higher contrast. There's a lot of Realm Builder Guy. Apparently his content really stuck out into the CK3. And then look, it's yourself. But again, even yours, even though it's very structured the same as a lot around it, stands out more because it's slightly brighter colors.
That's kind of what I try and do with that template. I've kind of got that down, and I feel happy and confident with that. But it's about what I typically do is when I'm starting a new Let's Play, I look at what other people are doing for their thumbnails, and there's a few that have a very similar style, but I look to do different colors or just a different background. I'm surprised at that and Knight's Tale actually. Well, actually, I'm quite happy that Knight's Tale did all right, that one, because that was not meant to be a series, and I just in the end was like, I'm going to keep it going and turn it into it. So I was like, let's just copy the poster for the film as close as I can and just slap that on it, but still within that style of character, title, part number.
I remember that because I gave you some of the elements for it because I had thought about doing the exact same thing with my Knight's Tale. But that's vidIQ. One thing to say about vidIQ is it has a Chrome extension, which I use. So for example, there's a stats extension, or when I'm doing my videos, there's the optimization one, which I really like. See, again, need to rework the title and the thumbnail on this. This is going to be I'm going to do this afternoon. I'm going to give this one a little bit of a facelift.
On the title, what is its top suggestion?
This surprising truth about goat mod special buildings nobody tells you. Doesn't quite fit, but you can that's the other thing it can do. You can generate titles and stuff, and it can also generate descriptions if you give it keywords to talk about. Have a play. If you're new to crafting these things, give them a go. But the reason sneaky, my brain is going, I should do a little bit of work on this older video. this is a thing to talk about just generally, is tomorrow I'm planning on releasing an update of my sword guide. So it would be good for the other guide done in the same style to have a bit of an update, because it's going to be a natural search suggestion follow-on if people finish that video. That's plain and simple the reason. So, and if it's someone who skipped it before but gets it this time, well, maybe they'll click it this time, you know. So yeah, giving some older videos a facelift every now and then, especially if you're releasing videos that are going to be similar to them, could be worth your time in terms of maximizing your view. Actually, it's something that Spiffing Brit says because around December, because December is the high CPM period. It's the time you want most views. He does a reminder for people to go back and update old thumbnails, because
you never know what will get kicked out again.
We talk about evergreen content. Right now is the best time for YouTube, the algorithm. It's like, for me, it is the time where most people can get most things viewed. It's never really been like this before. They've done some stuff that's just made like lower view content is being prioritized in people's For You page more often than even some of the bigger hitting stuff right now. So giving some facelift of some older content that you're proud of, especially around high CPM times, it's always worth it, because you never know if that video might spike. YouTube's never not going to want to share a video. That's the thing. It is in YouTube's best benefit, because it's how it makes its money, is by sharing you. So I've said it before, like figuratively, of like, oh, YouTube's turned off the tap on this one. It hasn't. It just thinks that no one's clicking it. But as soon as someone starts to, as soon as a few people do it, if that eye-catching has changed enough that they start clicking on, YouTube will go, okay, we've got to fire this one off again, guys. Then something's cooking here. Deliver it, because they want to. They want to make money off you.
Their primary motivator is to make as much money for them as possible, which it will do by pushing what it perceives to be the most successful content to the widest possible audience it can. So whatever you can do to help it go, like basically make yours stand out and look like the one that they want to push, and that they want to also deliver the most amount of ads to, and the highest paying ads, that's what you want to make your content stand out and do.
Yeah. Any other tools that are in your tool belt? Or because I can reiterate and mention the thumbnail one that I was using, which is free. My God, my F's and my THs, and something I've struggled with since a kid.
Tip of the tongue and the teeth and the lips.
It's a free thumbnail like checker. Like you can align it against existing YouTube videos, and you can also filter it by searches. And it's a website called Testmythumbnails.com. They have a paid version, but essentially it is a sharing my screen.
It's really cool. I'm going to start using that.
I really like it. I also like there is a way that, okay, let me just so this is the natural state. For some reason, it generates you next to loads of Sidemen content. I think it goes for popular YouTubers from the nation you're uploading from. So all of mine is just Sideman content, but I can then go into the search and go CK3 AGOT and see my video again, my thumbnail against others of that search term. And you can use this, and you can also use this just to explore that search term as well. It's going to be, I think I've shown you this before, but like I can see a lot of my thumbnails here, and you can see a lot of your thumbnails here. And it's just really useful. The other element of it is over here, this is the YouTube view, and then the size view, which will give you just a direct breakdown of all the different size formats it will appear on. So here you'll see like the little, timestamp of the video, because at different sizes, that is taking up more and more of the thumbnail. And the other thing to do is over on YouTube view, you can see it in a search. You can see it in the home page. You can see what it will look like in a sidebar, and what it would look like on mobile, on a mobile search. Yeah, like it's a, you can change to dark mode. Thank God, I didn't realize that was a thing. They've got a rater.
Oh, what's the rating? Let's see.
Oh, so this is the same thing. vidIQ also does this when you upload.
Just throwing a random idea out there. If we did have any creators that are perhaps on our Discord and wanted some opinions on a thumbnail, or like a pimp my thumbnail type thing of like, what would we do to it? I'd be up for like doing that, like how we've done some setup, like kind of reviews, and obviously we're having fun with that. Like we're not trying to be critical of anyone's setup or anything like that. We're just pointing out some things that we like, things we don't like, things where we would offer room for improvement. I think we'd be more than happy to kind of like take a look at some thumbnails. And just also, because also from our perspective, it's really interesting to see how other people approach creating thumbnails around different things. Like we've tried to share, I think, kind of like the foundational elements of what we think makes a good thumbnail, and a lot of that is obviously backed up through our own experience and obviously kind of what the stats are showing as well. But there might also be some other things that perhaps we're not completely aware of, things we might have missed.
Whoa,
that's really cool that it gets the colors.
It gives me a color match breakdown of the
that's
colors that are popping out on this.
God, that's a good tool.
That's useful.
And that's free, isn't it?
Suggestion. Yeah, this is the free version. Suggested thumbnail improvements: add a clear focal point with text. Include a human element because it couldn't detect any faces. Use a contrasting background, which I've done, which is the blue. I like some eggs with effects. Oh my God, it recognized that those were dragon eggs.
That's really cool. Good AI. Well done. The robots are taking over, but well done. Before you kill us, AI overlords, well done.
Hilariously, I tried that whole highlight some eggs with effects. I tried to put this central egg, I tried to put a glow around, like a sunlight glow. It made the thumbnail way too messy.
Kind of like a starburst like effect around it, yeah.
So again, these are all things to try. They don't necessarily need to be things you incorporate, and incorporate a thematic element. If the video is about a holiday or a specific theme like Easter, because it's reading the
eggs. Because of eggs. That's amazing. That's funny. Oh my God, you know what you should do though? Next Easter, put a note to yourself to come back and maybe change up the thumbnail on this one to like loads of egg stuff.
That's hilarious.
Even more intensive egg goodness.
All of these things need to be taken into account because this is apparently outstanding. This is an 8 out of 10. Like, sure, it's not a 10 out of 10, but sometimes, you know, you've got to go. The robots aren't going to always be right yet. It's
something we said before, though, when you're looking at the ranking as well. If you've had 9 videos that were all really good, don't panic. I'm afraid the next video most likely is going to be that 10 out of, it has to be, you know, there has to be, having a 10 out of 10 video isn't necessarily a bad thing, because if you're all doing well, one of them, they can't all be equal. They can't all jump straight to the top. One is eventually going to drop down that pile. That's just how numbers work, right? So that isn't the be all and end all, but that should give you a good indicator. And yeah, I think, yeah, if you guys are watching, either send it to us at hello@uploadpodcast.co.uk or drop it on our Discord. If you can, if you work with Photoshop, a PSD would be beautiful. But we'll, you know, even if it's just kind of some rough guides, if you send the full PNG, fine, we can work with that just to highlight and stuff. But if you give us the PSD, we can move elements around and add some things in. Oh my God, we could have I've just had a thought. We could have a thumbnail like 5 minutes. We've got to change the thumbnail and then show our result.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, but not 5 minutes. It would have to be like a minute mad dash of like, quick, change the
I feel like that's more like a YouTube video. I feel like that would be a dedicated YouTube video because I think
now look, we're making additional content out of the one.
Yes, exactly. Because the idea I think would be cool would be to essentially, we're both met up, we're given the concept. We're basically, have you seen Tattoo Wars or any of those TV shows? Essentially, a client comes in, they've got their video, they've got the concept. We then essentially each go away. We have 30 minutes to do as much of the pre-flight work, etc. we can, like title, thumbnail, all of those kinds of things. And we come back and then they pick whoever they like the best. That's a cool video. That's a cool concept. Yeah. We're going to possibly do that. Anyway, I think we've been rattling on enough. And I think that's all we can have time for. Again, remember to join the Discord if you haven't already. If you want to reach out to us, you can do via our email, hello@uploadpodcast.co.uk. And we will see you next time we upload.